Well, hello, my awesome Alameda High 8 students. We are going to have the lecture Unit 5.4, Impact on Agricultural Practices. So this is in the packet, page 13, module 32. So we're going to be talking about different types of agricultural practices. The first one being plow and till. So when you plow and till to grow crops, you're going to turn the soil upside down and push the crop residues down. It kills insects and weeds. It increases erosion by loosening the soil, exposes organic matter to oxygen, which increases the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere from oxidation. And it leads to soil degradation along with irrigation and overproducing. So those are things to write into your notes on page 13. And then there is a YouTube video for you to watch. So you can go to this link. It's just a little over 4 minutes. And then this will help you understand a little bit more about what it's actually like to do the plow and till agriculture, which is very common. So the second type that we're going to talk about today is slash and burn. So slash and burn happens a lot in the rainforests, and it is not sustainable. It is bad for the environment. So what you do is you cut the trees and then you burn them, and then the ash provides nutrients to the soil. So it's a really cheap and fast way to get the land ready to grow crops. So it's a nutrient poor soil in a warmer climate. So what biome? Oh, I already said it, the tropical rainforest. And then it's not sustainable. So here's the notes to write down. It releases carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, leads to erosion, loss of topsoil to hold the roots, and it's a positive feedback loop. We're going to write that down in just a minute. Then you have to irrigate because there's not enough water. So irrigation may lead to salinization, which is an increase in saltiness in the soil, which sounds counterintuitive because if you're using fresh water to water the crops, why would it get salty? Here's the thing. Rainwater is the only thing that is completely devoid of salt. In fact, you can buy distilled water, or you can have water that has been evaporated that's going to rain down. That water is completely pure and clean with no impurities whatsoever, unless the atmosphere has impurities in it. So there will be no salt in rainwater, no salt in distilled water. We'll be doing a lab where we're going to use distilled water to make sure that we don't have any salt. But when you water just with a hose, it's about 0.005% salt. So if you water and water and water and water and the fresh water evaporates, leaving the salts behind, it'll get saltier and saltier. And that leads to this big problem called desertification. It's desertification, but desertification is called. It's not good. It's not like dessert at the end of your meal. It's like a desert, like the biome desert, where there's not a lot that grows, certainly not crops. So the land is rendered completely unproductive. So it's going to be irrigation leads to salinization, leads to desertification. Shun, 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 shun. We will be practicing that a lot in a big lab that will help you understand it much better. Very excited to get to that. Okay, so desertification, the Sahara is expanding at a rate of up to 30 miles a year, which is just amazing. And that is getting us into a lot of problems and having more and more slash and burn. So on the next page, you're supposed to draw a negative feedback loop. Okay, and then you're going to watch or read this article about the Amazon forest burning. Okay, and so, and then write some notes about what you watch on that. Here's your positive feedback example. Okay. So when you slash and burn, you lose nutrients, then you have erosion, then you have fewer plants, and then you have to slash and burn again. So it goes and goes and goes and goes, and it causes problems. And you can't just slash and burn somewhere that you already slashed and burned. You have to go cut down more forest and more forest. And that's what's happening right now in the rainforest. They are burning it for agriculture, mostly for growing cattle. Okay, so then we have number 3, which is fertilizers. So fertilizers require large amounts of nutrients. And so the big ones that are there are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So large amounts of fertilizer required to increase the organic matter. Um, so there's not organic matter, so you have to increase the nutrients. And so a synthetic fertilizer is going to put just the nutrients in, whereas organic fertilizer is mostly decomposed manure. So nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, you're writing down manure, and then the combustion of natural gas fixes and captures atmospheric nitrogen. So that's one way that you can get more fertilizers. So you can think about it like this: a synthetic fertilizer simply feeds the plant. Organic fertilizers feed the soil. And when you have healthy soil, you have much more sustainable ways of growing food. So organic matter, plant nutrients, microorganisms, soil nutrients, you have live soil. You don't just have a plant growing machine. Okay, so the benefits are that it's easily applied and easily applied and absorbed. That's what the fertilizer does. That's the synthetic fertilizer. The content can be adjusted and targeted for different types of crops and soils. And without synthetic fertilizers, right now we could not feed the world. It is not the best for the environment, but it seems at the way that we're going right now, it is necessary for us to be able to feed the world. So it's going to take a lot of work for us to transition to a more sustainable way of growing food that we can actually use to feed the entire world too. So synthetic fertilizers, here's the environmental drawback. So the benefits of the synthetic fertilizers, you're writing down here. So there's lots of benefits. But there's also negatives. So it uses fossil fuels for energy, so that contributes to climate change with the amount of CO2. It's carried off by runoff to groundwater and waterways. So when you put all these fertilizers, you are almost always over fertilizing because it's just more efficient that way. So you have runoff into streams and waterways. And that leads to eutrophication or shuns, which are bad. So no organic matter is being added, which help raise these levels and water retention abilities. Okay, so it ends up leading to algal blooms and eutrophication. So you can see the green in the water there. That's a big algal bloom, a lot like what we were talking about in the tank in my room. And that is the end of the lecture for 5.4. And we'll talk about it more in class. Bye.